What if I told you the most magnetic thing a man can show, a woman, has nothing to do with money, looks, or social status, but everything to do with the way he carries himself? Most men never realize this. They spend years chasing women with gifts, compliments, or flashy achievements, only to end up confused when the spark dies, or when she never looks at them with raw, insatiable désir. Maybe you've been there yourself. You tried to impress, to prove your worth, to show you were good enough, but deep down, you knew it wasn't working. Instead of pulling her closer, all that effort pushed her further away. Here's the truth. Women are not drawn to constant effort or approval. What truly ignites their attraction is something far more subtle, yet infinitely more powerful. It's not about doing more. It's about embodying something she can feel without you saying a single word, a habit so natural, so deeply masculine, that it immediately shifts how she responds to you. The ancient Stoics understood this long before modern psychology ever caught up. They knew that power, presence, and restraint were magnetic forces, that women are not drawn to the man who tries the hardest, but to the man who simply is. And in this video, we'll break down the #1 masculine habit women find ridiculously hot and 5 practical ways to live it out daily. Before we dive in, tell me your name, where you're from, and the biggest challenge you're facing in your relationships. Let's help each other grow. And now, let's begin the journey. Number 1, stop apologizing. Let's be honest. Most men fall into this trap far too often. They apologize not because they've done real harm, but because they've been conditioned to soften their very existence. And here's the problem. Every unnecessary sorry doesn't make you look kind. It makes you look insecure. It signals weakness. And nothing kills attraction faster than weak energy. Think about it. A man who constantly says, "Sorry, is this okay?" or "Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt," is basically announcing to the world that he doubts his own value. He's not standing in his presence. He's asking for permission just to be himself. And women don't respond to that energy with desire. At best, they tolerate it. At worst, they take advantage of it. Let me give you a picture. Daniel, 29, from Seattle. Smart guy. Works in tech. Stays in shape. But every time he's on a date, he apologizes for the smallest things. At dinner, when the waitress asks if he wants dessert, he says, "Oh, sorry, I don't really eat sugar." Later, when he shares his thoughts on a book, he adds, "Sorry if that sounds silly." By the end of the evening, his date isn't left with the impression of confidence. She's left with hesitation, and hesitation always translates to weakness. Now compare that to Sophia, 26, who went out with him a few times. When she told her friends about Daniel later, she said he was kind, but she never felt drawn to him. Why? Because she never once sensed that he believed in himself. His constant smoothing over made her feel like she had to take the lead. And that, gentlemen, is not the energy that stirs attraction. Here's the truth. Women don't want endless apologies. They want to feel your grounded presence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's the point here. Stop apologizing for existing. Start living with intention. Now, This doesn't mean bulldozing through people or refusing to admit when you're wrong. Real men accept responsibility. But there's a difference between accountability and compulsive apologizing. Accountability says, yes, he made a mistake. I'll correct it. Over-apologizing says, I'm sorry for being in your space. One builds respect. The other erodes it. So, how do you break the habit? Start catching yourself. When sorry wants to slip out for something small, like asking a question or taking up space, pause. Replace it with strength. Instead of, sorry I'm late, say, thanks for waiting. Instead of, sorry for bothering you, say, do you have a moment? These tiny shifts carry huge weight. Women may not consciously say, wow, he never over-apologizes, but they'll feel the difference. You'll project calmness, self-respect, and masculine certainty. And those, gentlemen, are exactly the qualities women find ridiculously attractive. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with the phrase, I own my space. Make it your reminder, your declaration, that you no longer apologize for simply being you. Number 2, lead. Don't chase. One of the most common mistakes men make with women is chasing. You know what it looks like. The constant first text, the endless planning, the subtle desperation of trying to convince her to spend time with you. And here's the paradox. The harder you chase, the faster she runs. Why? Because chasing comes from insecurity. It carries the energy of a man who doubts himself, who secretly believes he must prove his worth before she'll consider him valuable. That energy is heavy. It repels more than it attracts. Leading, on the other hand, comes from confidence. It says, I already know my value. I'm walking forward with purpose. You're invited to join me. But whether you accept or not, my life doesn't stop. That simple shift in energy changes everything. Think about it like this. Chasing puts her in the driver's seat. You're reacting to her moods, following her signals, letting her dictate the pace. Leading restores you to your natural masculine role. You set the direction. You create the frame. You invite her to step into it. And women respect that deeply. It's not about control. It's about clarity. The Stoics mastered this truth. Epictetus once said, no man is free who is not master of himself. When you're chasing, you're enslaved to her attention. Your happiness rises and falls on whether she texts back. But when you lead, you stay centered. You show that you can create structure, make decision, and live with intention. That stability makes women lean closer. Now, let's make this practical. Leading doesn't mean being pushy or arrogant. It means taking initiative with calm confidence. Instead of begging for her time, you frame the invitation. I'm checking out a new place Thursday at 8. Come with me if you'd like. See the difference? It's not a plea. It's an opportunity. If she declines, you're still going. If she accepts, she joins your world, not the other way around. This is how attraction builds naturally. Because women don't dream of men who beg for attention. They dream of men who carry direction, who hold their ground, and who don't collapse if told no. Safety flows from your grounded presence. Excitement flows from your ability to guide the moment. But leadership goes beyond planning dates. It includes emotional leadership if she throws drama your way. You don't get dragged into the storm. You remain steady. You guide the tone. You show that her chaos cannot shake your foundation. That is true leadership. So here's the mindset shift. Stop asking, how can I get her to like me? Start asking, how can I invite her into the life I'm already building? Scarcity dissolves. Abondance appears. You're no longer chasing approval. You're leading with purpose. Here's my challenge. The next time you feel the urge to chase, pause. Ask yourself, am I leading or am I reacting? If you're reacting, shift. Women notice. They may not say it out loud, but they feel the difference between the man who leads and the boy who chases. Now, lock this lesson in. Drop a comment below with the phrase, I lead my life. That is your reminder, your declaration, that from today, chasing ends. And stay close, because in the next part, we'll go deeper. We'll strip away the illusions, cut past the noise, and uncover the hidden pulse of desire itself, the raw current that shapes attraction long before a single word is spoken. Number 3. Attraction without need. Here's the truth. Most men avoid admitting the fastest way to destroy attraction is to act like you depend on her for your happiness. When you radiate that clingy energy, refreshing your phone every few minutes, overanalyzing every word she sends, or bending over backwards to prove your worth, you're not building desire, you're suffocating it. Women are masters at sensing neediness, and the instant they feel you need them more than you simply want them, the mystery vanishes. Attraction isn't born in pressure. It grows in freedom. When you're calm in who you are, when your sense of worth isn't tied to her reaction, that's when she leans in. That's when she starts chasing you. This is exactly what the Stoics meant when they spoke of self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. If your greatest ambition is simply getting the girl, you've already lowered your value. But if your ambition is growth, creation, and living fully, you bring that energy into every interaction, and women can feel it immediately." Let's put this into perspective with a real story. Take Alex, 30, a software developer in New York. He started seeing Claire, 27, a photographer. At first, the chemistry was strong, but soon Alex slipped into the trap of neediness. Whenever Claire didn't reply quickly, he'd fire off another message. "Did you see my text? Are you mad at me?" On dates, he'd ask over and over if she liked him, if she wanted to see him again. To him, it was reassurance. To her, it was pressure, and pressure kills attraction. Within a month, she distanced herself. Here's the twist. When Alex realized his mistake, he made a shift. He stopped making Claire the center of his universe. He reconnected with his passions, coding projects, working out, and spending time with his friends. And when he did interact with women, he carried a calm, light presence. What happened next? Claire noticed. She reached back out, curious, drawn in by the shift in his energy, because the man who doesn't need her is the man she can't ignore. Here's the core lesson. Women aren't attracted to men who see them as the missing piece of their life. They're drawn to men who are already whole. who see women as an addition, not the foundation. That's why real confidence is magnetic. It says, "I'd love for you to be here, but I don't need you to be." So how do you apply this? Catch yourself the next time you feel the urge to double text or over-explain. Pause. Ask yourself, am I acting from genuine desire or from a need for her validation? When you move from desire, you pull her closer. When you move from need, you push her away. Here's a powerful challenge. If you're ready to live from strength instead of desperation, I drop a comment below saying, "I need nothing." That's your declaration, your standard. And stay with me, because in just a moment, we'll dive into something that takes this even deeper. How to channel your energy so powerfully that she feels it in her body before she even realizes it in her mind. Number 4. Interest, not approval. One of the most common mistakes men make when dealing with women is confusing interest with approval. They believe that if a woman laughs at their jokes, compliments their looks, or tells them they're sweet, then attraction must be building. But here's the reality. Approval and desire are not the same. Approval is surface level. It's polite. It's her way of saying, "You're fine." But fine never keeps her awake at night. Fine doesn't make her crave you. Fine doesn't turn into attraction. When you're chasing approval, what you're really saying is, "Tell me I'm good enough." You're handing her the stamp of power, waiting for her to validate your worth, as if you need her permission slip to be desirable. But when you're sparking interest, you're creating an experience. You're saying, "Here I am. Let's see if you can keep up." Interest pulls her closer, while approval-seeking always pushes her away. The Stoics understood this dynamic long before modern psychology confirmed it. Epictetus once wrote, "If you want to improve, to be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, if you live your life constantly chasing the approval of others, you'll never live with authenticity. The same applies in attraction. Approval may earn you a polite smile, but it will never ignite her body or her heart. Look around. Men who chase approval twist themselves like contortionists. If she looks bored, they change their tone. If she doesn't laugh, they tell another story. If she seems distant, they buy another drink. They're playing a losing game because approval doesn't lead to desire. Now contrast that with the man who understands attraction. He isn't desperate to prove himself. He isn't bending to fit her mood. Instead, he sparks curiosity by being grounded, playful, unpredictable. He creates an emotional rhythm that makes her want to step into his world. That's why so many men feel confused. They'll say, "But she said I was nice. She told me I was sweet. Why didn't she want more?" The answer is simple. She gave approval, not interest. Approval is safe. Interest is dangerous. Interest carries tension, polarity, and desire. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, the opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them knows the truth. Translate that into dating. The approval you're chasing is worthless if it doesn't come from genuine attraction. You don't need her, yes, to feel valuable. You need to embody the kind of man who knows his worth before she ever speaks. And here's the paradox: when you stop chasing approval, that's when true interest begins to grow. When you stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start declaring, "This is who I am," that's when she feels the spark Because women are not moved by compliance. They're moved by presence, energy, and a man who radiates his value without needing her to confirm it. Now let's lock this in. Drop a comment below and write, "I choose interest." That's your declaration that you're done begging for approval and ready to embody the kind of man who pulls women in with presence, not permission. And stay tuned, because what comes next is not just advice, but a force beyond words, an invisible current you already carry inside you, one that can change her response to you before you even say a single word. Number 5. Calm desire wins. Most men misunderstand what true attraction looks like. They think it's about turning up the volume, loud jokes, flashy costuras, constant energy, or relentless pursuit. They imagine desire has to be like fire burning hot, impossible to ignore. But here's the truth. Fire often burns out fast. What lasts? What truly wins a woman over is calm desire. The kind of presence that says, "I want you, but I don't need to devour you." It's attraction that's steady, grounded, and free from desperation. Why does calm desire work? Because it communicates control. It shows that you are moved by intention, not impulse. You want her, yes, but you're not defined by the outcome. That difference is everything. Let's paint the picture. Take Daniel, 32, living in New York. He's on a second date with Julia, 28. Nervous energy gets the better of him. He talks too fast, laughs too hard, and fiddles endlessly with his glass. He thinks his performance proves enthusiasm. But what Julia feels is pressure. It doesn't ignite chemistry, it kills it. Now imagine Daniel approaches differently. He slows down. He lets silences breathe instead of rushing to fill them. His gaze is steady, but relaxed. Not disparity. He listens more than he speaks, leaning back with quiet interest instead of bouncing from topic to topic. Julia feels something shift. Not pressure, but ease. Not tension, but safety. His calm desire tells her, "I'm here. I'm interested. But I won't lose myself in trying to win you." That stillness creates space for her to lean in. This is where most men go wrong. They flood a woman with attention, thinking more equals better. But attraction isn't about suffocating her. It's about giving her the room to feel your presence and then respond. Women notice when desire is calm. It frees them to relax, to explore, to match your energy. Calm desire isn't just attractive, it builds trust. When you show her that your want isn't frantic, she sees your steadiness. And steadiness is rare. It makes her feel safe enough to open her own feminine energy. Deepening connection. Even Marcus Aurelius knew this. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Apply this to relationships. And it's clear, calm desire isn't weakness. It's proof of inner power. It's the balance between wanting and waiting, leading and listening. It's desire without fear. Think of the last time you were drawn deeply to someone, yet didn't rush. That quiet confidence likely left a stronger mark than any flashy move. Because when women sense calm desire, it creates mystery. Mystery fuels imagination, and imagination fuels attraction. So, here's your anchor. Drop a comment below and write, "I choose calm." That's your vow, to stop radiating frantic energy and instead embody the calm desire that naturally draws her closer. And stay tuned, because next, we're diving into a hidden shift most men never see coming. A mindset so powerful it makes her chase you without you even lifting a finger. Number 6, be the poet. When most men hear that phrase, they picture standing on a stage, reading verses, or reciting Shakespeare in hopes of impressing a woman. But that's not what I'm talking about. Being the poet isn't about memorized lines or fancy language. It's about energy. It's about depth. It's about speaking in a way that makes her feel something she can't explain. See, most men rely on logic when they speak to women. They think if they present their job title, their plans, or their list of achievements, she'll automatically be impressed. But logic doesn't stir attraction. Logic informs the brain. Attraction, however, lives in the heart, in the senses, in the invisible atmosphere you create when you open your mouth. This is where the poet comes alive. The poet doesn't just describe, he paints. Instead of saying, "The sunset looks nice," he says, "The sky looks like it's burning tonight." Instead of the bland question, "How was your day?" he leans in with curiosity. "Tell me the moment today that made you laugh without holding back." Notice the difference. One is flat. The other opens a door into emotion, into connection, into resonance. Because women don't remember every word you say. They remember how you made them feel. And when you speak like a poet, you make them feel alive. Being the poet isn't about being dramatic. It's about awareness. It's noticing the spark in her eyes when she talks about something she loves. It's hearing the softness in her voice when she recalls a childhood memory. And then reflecting it back with honesty. That's poetry. Ordinary words given extraordinary weight. The Stoics understood this balance between word and action. Epictetus once said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In this context, it means your words are not decorations. They come from presence, from your becoming. They aren't tricks. They are reflections of the man you are shaping yourself into. And here's the paradox. The poet doesn't try hard. Trying too hard kills the magic. The poet lets beauty flow naturally. He allows silence. He slows down, because silence itself can be poetic. The pause before you speak, the weight you let your words carry, the way you listen fully when she shares. That's what makes her lean in. Think back to a time someone said something simple, yet it stayed with you for days. Why? Because it resonated. Maybe it was timing. Maybe it was the calm confidence. Maybe it was the fact that they noticed something nobody else did. That's what being the poet is about: resonance, not vocabulary. And here's the hidden layer: when you practice being the poet, you reconnect with your own emotions. Too many men have been taught to shut theirs down. But women can sense when a man feels deeply and still remains steady in his masculinity. That blend of strength and vulnerability is magnetic. So, how do you start small? Notice beauty in your day. Describe it in a way that breathes life into it. Ask deeper questions. Slow your speech. Let her feel your presence through your attention. Remember, you don't need to be a writer. You just need to live vividly and let that vividness spill into your words. Because the poet doesn't chase, he inspires. He doesn't impress. He creates a space where attraction can breathe on its own. So ask yourself right now, are your words noise, or are they music? Drop a comment below with, "I speak depth," to affirm your commitment to bringing more resonance into your presence. And stay with me, because next, I'm going to reveal a hidden habit that doesn't require words at all, yet draws women toward you like gravity. Number 7, presence over words. Many men believe that the key to winning a woman's attraction lies in their speech. They focus on pickup lines, clever humor, or the perfect phrase that will supposedly unlock her interest. But here's the truth. Attraction doesn't spring from words. It emerges from presence. Women rarely recall every sentence a man says. What stays with them is how he felt in his company, and presence communicates far more than 1,000 carefully rehearsed lines ever could. Let's put this into perspective with a scenario. Take Daniel, 31 years old, living in Boston. Daniel is out on a dinner date with Sophia, 28. He's witty, intelligent, and knows how to keep the conversation flowing. But here's the issue. Daniel can't stand silence. Every pause feels like failure. So he rushes to fill it with more chatter, jokes, explanations, endless commentary. On the surface, nothing looks wrong. Sophia is smiling. The conversation seems lively, but beneath that, she senses something off. Daniel isn't connecting, he's performing, and performance feels hollow. Now imagine a different encounter. At a weekend gathering, Sophia meets Ethan, 33. Ethan doesn't say much at first. Instead, he asks Sophia a thoughtful question and listens with genuine focus. He doesn't interrupt. He holds steady eye contact. Not overly intense, but enough to make her feel seen. When she speaks, he nods slowly, giving her words space to land. His calm energy creates safety, making her open up more. Ethan's presence made Sophia feel valued, not entertained. And when she returned home that night, whose image lingered in her mind? Not Daniel, the man who performed, but Ethan, the man who was present. That's the heart of this principle. Women are drawn to men who know how to simply be there without overcompensating. When you're anxious, trying too hard to impress, your energy scatters. Even if your words are confident, she feels your nervousness. On the other hand, when you're grounded, calm, and comfortable with silence, she senses your strength without you needing to prove it. The Stoics knew this truth long before us. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your inner world, the calm or chaos inside, bleeds into your presence. You cannot fake it. If your thoughts are frantic, it will show. If your mind is steady, purposeful, and rooted, she'll feel it before you even speak. Here's the mistake most men make. They think presence means saying something deep or profound. But presence doesn't equal silence, it equals depth. When you do speak, your words land with more weight because they aren't lost in noise. Women are highly attuned to energy. They can sense whether you're truly listening or just waiting for your turn to respond. So how do you cultivate presence? Start by slowing down. When she talks, don't prepare your next line. Just listen. When silence arrives, don't pun it. Let it breathe. Hold eye contact with calm steadiness. Not desperation. Ground yourself in your breath. And the moment, the more rooted you are, the more magnetic you become. Think back to Daniel. If he had paused, asked one thoughtful question, and simply listened, the entire date could have shifted. Instead of being talked at, Sophia would have felt connected. And that's what women truly remember, the connection, not the performance. So here's the takeaway. Women are drawn to the man whose presence speaks louder than words. The man who listens. The man who isn't afraid of silence. The man whose calm presence says, "I am enough." Now I turn this to you. Do you find yourself talking too much? Filling space instead of being present? If so, write in the comments, "I choose presence." That will be your declaration that from now on, your presence will speak louder than your words. Number 8, the power of silence. Among all the traits a man can cultivate, few are as overlooked and misunderstood as this one, the courage to embrace quiet. Most men fear it. They assume that if the air isn't filled with chatter, they're boring her, losing her attention, or somehow failing the test. So, they scramble. They pile on more stories, jokes, explanations, anything to fill the pause. But here's the truth. Silence is not your weakness. Silence is your weapon. Women are highly intuitive. They can sense when a man sits comfortably within himself, and they can sense when he's desperately trying to prove his value. When you can hold silence without panic, you're sending her a clear message. You don't crave her validation. You're grounded. You're not afraid of space. And that alone sparks attraction on a level most men never reach. Think about it. A pause in conversation. A steady gaze. A slow smile. Those moments speak louder than 100 clever lines. They reveal control. They reveal presence. And presence is what women lean toward. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus once wrote, "Silence is safer than speech." He didn't mean never speak. He meant that silence shields you from exposing weakness, from saying things you don't truly mean. In relationships, the same principle applies. Silence gives you breathing room. It lets you observe instead of overreact. It turns your responses from impulsive to intentional. Most men underestimate just how magnetic stillness can be. When you don't rush to fill every second, something shifts. She begins filling it. She starts asking more questions. She opens up more about herself. She invests energy into the space you created simply because you weren't afraid of quiet. Now, let's be clear. Silence is not passivity. It's not coldness. It's not shutting down. It's confidence. It's proof that you don't need to perform to be worthy of attention. You're showing her that your presence alone has weight, even when you say nothing. And when you pair silence with body language, relaxed shoulders, calm breathing, steady eyes, it multiplies your impact. It shows composure. It shows you're not rattled. That's the difference between silence that intrigues and silence that feels awkward. And here's where the power grows. When you do speak, your words carry 10 times the weight, because you haven't drowned her in endless chatter. Your sentences land with precision. Instead of proving yourself with volume, you let silence create anticipation. That anticipation makes her lean in. She listens. She wonders. Women aren't drawn to the man who talks the most. They're drawn to the man who creates an emotional charge without words, the man whose silence makes her curious, whose stillness keeps her guessing. That's where mystery begins. And mystery fuels attraction. So, the lesson is simple. Stop running from silence. Practice leaning into it. Let her feel your calm. Let her wonder. Let her step into the space you leave open. That's the shift from being just another voice in the crowd to becoming the man she can't stop thinking about. Now it's your turn. In the comments, type this: I master silence. That's your declaration. That's your step into power. And stay tuned. Because up next, we'll uncover how stillness itself beyond silence becomes magnetic in ways most men never imagine. Number 9, stillness creates fire. Many men believe attraction is born from constant motion, more talking, more showing off, more chasing. But the truth is, sometimes the greatest spark is lit by doing less. Stillness has a magnetic force. It pulls a woman in, making her feel something deeper without a single word leaving your lips. When a man stands still, calm, grounded, and unshaken, it radiates confidence that can't be faked. That energy says he isn't desperate for approval, isn't scrambling to prove himself, but is steady in who he is. And that presence generates a heat women notice instantly. Picture Ethan, 34, at a rooftop lounge in Los Angeles with his friends. Instead of pacing, scanning the crowd nervously, or trying to fill every silence, he leans back, sips his drink with ease, and takes in the atmosphere. He doesn't force his way into the room's attention, and when Mia, 28, strolls over with a teasing smile, Ethan doesn't rush to impress. He listens carefully, lets pauses, breathe, and allows his steady energy to do the work. That quiet stillness makes Mia lean in, intrigued, wanting more. This is the fire of stillness. It isn't passive, and it isn't dull. It's magnetic. It draws her in without you chasing. Women can sense when a man owns his energy. That stillness becomes a flame she can feel, a polarity that makes her want to step closer. Too many men mistake stillness for doing nothing. But stillness is intentional. It's holding your ground, letting tension rise, and resisting the urge to break it. That's why it creates heat. It gives desire space to grow. So remember, attraction isn't always about movement. It's about energy. When you master stillness, you don't just exist in her presence, you ignite it. If you believe stillness is your edge, type, I own my energy in the comments. Claim it now. And keep watching, because the next piece transforms this energy into intimacy she will never forget. Number 10. Unforgettable without trying. Here's the truth. When a man fully embodies his masculine presence, he doesn't need tricks or theatrics to leave a lasting mark. He becomes unforgettable naturally, not because of loud gestures or polished lines, but because the essence of who he is lingers long after the moment has passed. Many men mistakenly think memorability comes from performance, bigger laughs, flashier stories, or constant attempts to impress. Yet those fade quickly. What women truly hold on to isn't the noise, it's the feeling, the quiet imprint you leave when you're calm. Grounded presence speaks louder than anything you say. Think about it. She may forget your exact words, but she won't forget the way you look directly into her eyes. Steady and unwavering. She may not recall every step you took together, but she'll remember the security she felt walking beside you. She may not replay every detail of the conversation, but she'll carry with her the certainty of your composure. Take Robert, 34. For example, he used to overcompensate, cracking endless jokes, trying to win approval with humor. Women laughed, enjoyed themselves, but quickly moved on. It wasn't until he stopped performing, began listening more, and let his calm strength lead, that everything shifted. Later, Anna, 29, admitted, "I couldn't stop thinking about you. That's what unforgettable looks like. It bypasses reason and settles into memory." The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your inner state is steady and strong, every interaction reflects it. Being unforgettable is subtraction, not addition. You stop forcing, stop chasing, and instead stand so firm in who you are that she feels it deeply. That's when you become the man she cannot forget. If this message sparked something in you, give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a shift in mindset that can quietly transform your life. Remember, we don't chase, we lead. We choose growth over desperation, strength over noise. Together, we rise higher each day. Thanks for watching, gentlemen, and I'll see you in the next one.